right. Jake us in.
I'm not Jake. I'm some other person.
I know, but Ames and Amy don't rhyme with take.
Aims us in.
That's fair.
Aim us towards the start of this podcast.
There we go. I like that. Assuming Chris lost all the previous footage, as tends to happen. Actually, it hasn't happened in a while. We've been really good with not fucking up recording.
Losing the very first episode made me very careful.
But yeah, so I was commenting. We're here doing another Star to Steer Her By thing, as we tend to do. This week we are on the third of the TNG movies, Insurrection. We are on episode 144.
Woo! That's divisible by 12.
Attempt 2. Yeah, we're doing Insurrection, and I said I was glad I'm introing this one, since I'm the one with the most positive reaction to this movie. This movie, as we're talking about this movie, starts off on the planet of the Baku, and suddenly, out of nowhere, Data runs in and starts shooting up a duck blind. We're still using duck blinds. We're fools, damn it! Mm-hmm. Fools! Mm-hmm. And Admiral Doherty, one of Jake's corrupt admirals from his list. What?
Father! OG!
Oh, you're going over.
Father!
Duck blinds, gotcha. Didn't find the connection between Doherty and that.
I do not get it.
It was one of the
Watchers.
kids from Who Watches the Watchers.
Oh, it's been a while.
That Jake loves to mimic.
It was Bobby Hill.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Doherty asks up Picard, says, hey, how do we turn Data off? And Picard's like, I'll be right down. And he's like, but wait, okay, that's fine. Picard goes down, they capture Data doing a song, and they realize, wait a minute, Data malfunctioned because all this crazy shit's been happening on this planet. Apparently, there's this big hollow ship that's been programmed to look like their planet because they're probably going to want to steal the people away. I wonder why. Oh, here's why. Everyone's suddenly going through puberty again. Sure. No, it's a fountain of youth planet is what it is, and the Sona, who are the people who are working with the Federation in this duck blind, really, really want to harvest all the midi-chlorians, something or others, from the rings of this planet that help them, cure their horrible, horrible faces. They look like plastic bags.
They don't even look that fucking good.
I liked them, though. The thing is, I liked
No, they looked great, but they didn't look good,
the makeup looked great.
I like the idea that the makeup is literally just those, generic have a nice day plastic bags. So they've all just got a big yellow smiley face all stretched out and distorted.
Accurate. Very accurate. And say, okay, well, the Sona want to steal these properties, and they're going to go through whatever hell they can to get it. And they're going to steal these people away, so they hide out in the hills, where there's all these elements that will repel transporting of the things.
Kelvinite.
Yeah, nice. Good memory of that. I just watched it 15 minutes ago, and I forgot that. But they start stealing people anyway, using these darts.
Oh, yeah, those were a bitch.
And Picard, he gets one of them, Gallatin, the second in command, to kind of come around and realize, okay, what if we don't do the whole let's destroy the planet of these people thing, because, dun dun dun, they're actually our parents and we're the same species, but since we left the planet and the aging thing stopped working, we turned into mutants.
That's how it works.
It is. Yeah. Actually, it probably is. That's probably why these people can't leave their planet. And why relocating them is a terrible, terrible idea. The Federation should not be behind it all. Fucking table flip. It's good to see Picard on the right side again.
For fucking once, dude.
So Picard sneaks them onto the hollow ship that they've programmed to look like their ship. They think they're enacting the collector, which collects all the metaphasic particles from their rings that would destroy the planet. He's like, yes. Why isn't it working? Interesting. Fucking hell, we're on a hollow ship! God damn it, Picard, you monster! And he goes over to the collector himself and starts the countdown for the thing to destroy the what's-it.
The final countdown!
And Picard then beams over himself to manually deactivate it, doing the Picard thing. And does. And the end.
And Riker rescues Picard, but lets the other guy burn alive!
I mean, he
kind of deserved it.
Yeah, but was that really Riker's call to make? Commander, there's 2 signals on the collector. Just lock onto the captain. Fuck the other guy.
I mean,
He's a
Gallatin. Gallatin was a good guy, and they wouldn't have known.
I know.
I think technically it was his call, though, because he was definitely in charge at the time. Not saying it was a good call, but...
Yeah, he made the call, and the other guy blew up, and, sometimes that happens.
So Chris hates this movie.
So this movie, this is again, I think I said last week or at some point, I have literally not seen this movie in full since seeing it in theaters. I tried rewatching
That was in 98?
He still hasn't.
multiple times since then. So I haven't seen this movie in 21 years. It's not as bad as I remember.
I expected it to just be utter trash.
But it is still terrible.
What's so terrible about it, Chris? Because I'm curious.
For me, with one exception, which I think is obvious, but I will get to it.
Data.
Every moment
Exactly.
that is supposed to be like a character building moment is either boring as fuck, painfully cringe-inducing.
Oh, Riker shaving the beard?
I mean, so much of it. Or some combination of both.
At least they didn't show what else he was shaving.
Either boring or cringe-inducing or both. The one exception, the one scene that like kind of made me feel anything aside from boredom or anger.
The LaForge scene?
Yes.
Yeah.
The scene where he's looking at the sunset, that's beautiful. I will not take that away from the film or Burton or anything.
I'm curious because I forget in the next movie if he gets his eyes back. If he
think-
continues to have
I think he has the mechanical
biological
Yeah,
eyes.
this was a one-shot deal.
Oh, that's
Okay,
sad.
okay.
Gets one sunset. That's all you get.
Everybody gets one. Tell him.
It was a fucking awesome sunset.
I'm
though.
going to go as far as to say that this is my second favorite of the 4 TNG movies.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd say ditto.
Well, so
I
far
think
I
it's-
would also say that, but I haven't seen...
Yeah, I mean, this is miles better than Generations.
I look at Generations.
And it's fucking light years better
Yeah.
than Nemesis, so...
Well, I look at Generations, and the plot of Generations confounded me. Well, this one, and I think the thing I like the most about this one is it feels like Star Trek The Next Generation, the series, the most.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's a couple different episodes put together.
It is. And it's because it's an ethical debate and not a big fucking giant action show until the last 5 minutes.
Well, I mean, you do have Worf with his bazooka for
love
for
Worf with the
reasons.
bazooka.
And where did it come from? I
On
feel
his
like he just
pants.
all of a
Since
sudden he has it. It's
Since
like,
when
oh.
since when does Starfleet have a bazooka
Well,
in their like handheld arsenals?
It is during the Dominion War. That was sort of a throwaway line in the film, so if you weren't watching DS9, you'd be like, what? There's a war?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true. That's one thing is that this movie and Nemesis especially do have implicit spoilers for DS9 and Voyager.
Well, I mean, all it spoils about DS9 is that at some point we're going to have a war story. It doesn't give away much about it.
Nemesis has a major spoiler for
Yes.
Voyager.
Yes, it does.
But anyway,
Awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Cat food.
My cat spreads.
So
Talk
if you haven't
like
watched
that.
Voyager, tune out next week.
But yeah,
Maybe we can make our review spoiler free. We can probably do
we
that.
can do but if everyone's going to watch
For
the
a
movie along
fucking
with
20-year-old movie?
Yeah, but it's
Who
also
cares?
ruining a 20-year-old series. Also, I just want to state very good, concise intro on that.
Oh yeah, that's why I
Caitlin,
watched
take
it twice.
note.
I was gonna make a joke about how I was bummed I wasn't gonna get to intro this one. 'Cause I did
And
such a
then,
great job.
like, Data took off the hat, and just his head was floating there, and then the guy walked up and he tripped, or maybe Data kicked. I don't know.
So
Play-by-play in the data corner.
You guys
So
are
we're-
dicks.
we're talking about the ethical debate aspect of this
Yes.
episode, film.
And Picard making up for his decision in final
Mostly
Journey?
because
final something.
final
Yeah, just because of
Final
Poon.
Journey.
Journey's End.
Journey's
Journey's
End.
End. That's the one.
But yeah, it feels less like he was doing it for the right reasons and more like I want to get laid.
And here's the thing: I look at that. It's not a very, very explicit relationship. They cut a kiss scene, probably for the best, because I don't think they needed it. Like more, it's like he's connecting with her as a way of connecting to the people, which I get as a plot device. Because if you don't have it, you don't care about the people.
Yeah.
Even though you should, just because.
Well, then there's just a bunch of faces in a crowd, and it's hard to care about them when you don't have one to focus on.
You mean as an audience?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I thought you meant, no, you're right. As an audience,
Well,
that is true.
it's like when Riker and Data are talking about loss, and Riker's like, well, maybe if we all cared about every life as much as we care about the people we care about.
Yeah. No, as an audience, you're right. That makes sense.
Yeah, I was connecting it to... Have you seen the Chernobyl series?
No, not yet.
Very good.
I've heard.
Super, super good. I'm going to spoil one very minor... Or I'm going to spoil, like, a device they use. And that's they introduce a character, and it's a pretty lady, because of They're usually pretty ladies because they get the audience to kind of side with you and see the points of view. But in real life, in Chernobyl, there were like bunch of scientists that they condensed down to a single character so that you could kind of like follow their journey.
Oh yeah, and that's common enough in adaptations of real events.
And I thought the same thing that they did with Anish in this movie. They kind of like summed up the Baku people in her.
Yeah, it's kind of like how in the film Pearl Harbor, they cast Josh Hartnett as the role to represent the audience's collective disappointment.
So, the Baku.
Mm-hmm. Their llamas were cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. That's something. I hated them.
Really?
Because
They're very smug.
Yeah, they're smug Luddites.
Guinan would get along with them like
smug Luddites can kiss the fattest part of my ass.
not the hairier one of your balls.
Like, here's the other
like
thing.
Usual.
Okay, so Picard's moral quandary, right? His moral stance, right? Yes, he's doing the right thing, the ethical thing. Well, let's consider that for a moment.
Okay.
Whoa.
Right? Okay, so first of all, Picard...
We're righting Doherty's ethical wrong.
Picard is on record as being in support of the forced relocation of Native Americans.
Yep.
Which he was going to do.
Totally was.
Until he made a deal with...
Wesley.
With the fucking...
with
the worst people in the galaxy.
The Ferengi?
To be like, yeah, you can have this planet. Just promise, pinky swear you won't, subjugate or persecute the...
Do those things that are just everything your government
he basically,
does.
So, like, at best, in that episode, he is supporting the forced relocation, and at worst, he is abdicating any moral authority over the situation.
Yeah, because there is...
And patting himself on the back for doing it.
Yeah.
Prime directive.
So
no,
now,
wait, it wasn't even prime. It was a Cardassian treaty.
Yeah, it was a treaty thing, right?
A treaty
We're trying to avoid war.
Yeah, and like, honestly, sure, whatever. It happened.
Back.
Let's just move the cat.
We
I
do.
have
He
been
keeps
moving
coming
the
back.
cat.
He has legs.
All right, so he's on the record. Now we have this episode here. Oh, and he's So anyway, so we have this movie in which basically the same setup. We're going to forcibly relocate these people. Now, remember, in Journey's End, it was to relocate people over a treaty, right? They're talking, and now we're talking about relocating a very small number of people. What did they say? 600?
Yeah,
600 people. And the issue at hand is literal immortality.
Yep.
For everybody, for billions.
No,
So-
not everybody.
For anyone that
For fucking rich people. That's who it would be for.
That's not what it said.
Well, wait.
Like they're talking about how they could devise medical treatments using this.
Well, I don't think it would make anyone immortal. It would just ludicrously extend lifespan.
Well, sure.
Yeah, it
And
would
also,
fix a lot of diseases.
It would and like cure.
Give Geordi more eyes.
So here you have this planet of these Luddites that are smug Luddites, Smuddites,
That are smug.
Smugites. And they're basically hoarding this power. Now, I will say that Doherty, in the way he goes about this, definitely wrong. And like teaming up with the Sona, a species that literally has slaves.
Yeah. Like Troy, I think, says, like, why are we allies with these people?
Yeah,
they are actual monsters.
You know, everyone on the Federation Council who signed off on this should be forced to resign.
Yeah, this is real bad. Like
maybe be sent to a prison camp.
Yeah, these Sona people are shit.
Hollow ships a violation of the Treaty of Algeron?
Well,
there's already an exception happening because of the war anyway.
So there's might be
the grayest of areas.
It is a gray area. It's probably not totally kosher, but it happened. So yeah, teaming up with the Sona, not great. But from a perspective, I feel like Picard, in this case, there are way more reasons for Picard to go along with the plan, or at least, maybe not the forced relocation as planned, but it seems like he's straight up against doing this. Whereas
Picard says, like, could we send scientists? And they're like, oh, our best minds already tried, and the best way we can do is to fucking decimate this planet. And honestly, if we move these people, we learn in this movie that they'll probably turn into Sona-type plastic bags.
In 100 years. In 100 years. Everybody turns into a fucking plastic bag in 100 years.
Yeah, but what's to say that won't happen to everybody who uses the energy?
Well, maybe it is. But
well, I think the reason they get all gross is less that the radiation did that. It's just that because they're artificially extending their lifespan so much, they're becoming desiccated. Because they probably left the planet...
On the inside and the outside.
Yeah, they left the planet probably when they were, like, physically in their, like, you know, whatever, 20s or 30s, and then they left it, and now they're sort of just, like, artificially extending their lives and getting obsessed with plastic surgery in a sequence ripped straight out of Brazil.
And also...
Oh, Brazil's a cool movie.
I thought you meant the actual country.
No.
I was like, yeah, they do a lot of plastic surgery in Brazil really cheaply, don't they?
The Terry Gilliam movie has a scene where a woman is getting plastic surgery where they, like in this, they literally just kind of like pull her face back and then staple it into her skull.
It reminded me of Cassandra from
Doctor Who. Yeah.
Oh, the woman that's just a film of skin.
With a face and like some wires going to a jar where her brain is.
Oh my.
I am the last
Frowning
living
very
human.
hard.
Zoe Wanamaker. Good actor.
But but just a film of skin, so it's hard for her to get roles. She gets typecast easily.
She played the magic carpet in the new Aladdin.
A whole new world!
Whoa.
She's
Straight
gonna
into the mic, Jake.
she's gonna play the sheet that Michael Jackson put over his kid's head before dangling him over a balcony in the biopic they're making.
Oh, God.
Are they making a biopic?
I don't know. I'm sure they will eventually.
Anyway,
you were talking about the
sorry.
Baku.
Yeah, so
Their planet must get overpopulated quickly if they keep
well, that's the
procreating
other thing.
and not dying.
Like
Maybe
there's a
they've stopped
shitload of kids. It doesn't make
There's
any
all
sense
those
to me.
children,
There's a
though.
shitload of kids.
But maybe they've been kids for like 100 years.
No, they
the
said-
kid even says I'm like 12 or whatever.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, that's
through
right.
the convenience of space magic, the immortality radiation doesn't kick in until you're an adult.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
shrug.
if you can imagine that, if you know,
Mature.
unless they only started with like 4 people, maybe
Ooh.
they could only be at 600 now.
I mean, they also just might not, they might have the good sense to not procreate that terribly often.
But
because
there's like a whole bunch of fucking kids.
No, that's
Only like
true.
4 or 5, though.
Although
I
the
thought.
other
Don't we
thing,
only
too,
see
is
like
we're-
a handful of children?
They say curly haired dude says, "Oh, a group of our young people left a century ago."
Well, right, and that's the Sona, right?
Well, right. Now, that's the Sona. Now, here's the thing. I'm wondering if that quote-unquote group of young people was, like, millions. Because the Sona are really fucking powerful.
That's true.
They got a shitload of ships, these big-ass ships.
Yeah.
They've been able to subjugate 2 different races in a century.
Yeah.
And they apparently have the best science because they invented this collector.
Oh, God.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
A lot of things, I'm so sorry.
And, and they've been able to do all this fantastic stuff, yet there's only 600 people on the planet. Their progenitors are 600 people. So it strikes me that maybe there was like a much bigger civilization on this planet, and it was like most of them left.
Maybe.
Like,
And
again,
a lot of them died off.
Picard doesn't do the first bit of investigation. See, maybe these people are assholes.
I mean, they are assholes.
This woman wants to stroke my dome, but, what else is...
I haven't
Like,
seen
here's
a
the thing.
bald man in 100 years, 3 months, and an odd number of days.
Like, here's the thing. I think the Baku are self-righteous douchebags, but I still don't think the plan is good or ethical.
No, it's
like
not good or ethical, and it should have been done in a different way, but I still think that there's... because here's the thing, right? We're never going to hear or see again...
either of these species.
No. And here's my other question that ties in with the Baku people is, how about they share the planet with the Sona?
Well, they have a throwaway line about that.
Oh, yeah, what was the throwaway line?
Is that they're so far gone
Okay.
that, like...
Physically?
It would take 10
Oh.
It
years.
would take a decade for the radiation to begin to heal them, and some of them aren't going to live that long.
It's
Which,
fine,
like,
then. They're
yeah.
fucking assholes. Let them
Exactly.
die.
That's the thing.
I
It's
also don't
like...
buy that. I mean, it gave a blind man eyes
In,
in
like,
a
2
day.
days. Yeah,
come
It
on.
made Riker shave his beard in a couple of hours.
Well,
It
plus,
gave Worf
hey,
a fucking bitch of a pimple.
what they could totally
Jesus.
do is just use that unexplained fucking time magic to stretch out. What the fuck was that?
It was entirely unrealized.
Oh yeah, that was another thing that just
they
came out
could
of
have cut
nowhere.
it entirely.
There was used twice in the movie, and
Was unnecessary.
like
No,
one time
bad.
was like
Bad idea.
for Picard to like
Get a boner.
Keep Anish alive for literally 30 extra seconds.
Yep.
yeah.
Like, that was so bad.
And like it's not explained, and like the fucking stupid hummingbird, and goddamn it.
But yeah, that was also just really kind of not great CG. Besides, like, it looked good from far away, but then they were
Oh,
closing
better
up on
CG
it.
than the critter, though. The
Oh,
chipmunk.
but I love the
Oh, I
rill.
love the critter.
It looked like a porg. It didn't look like it fit with the movie.
No, it looked less like a porg and more like
Oh, that worm thing from...
No, that too. There's this old, like, 30s animated character. I think it was supposed to be a chipmunk or something, but it just had these, like, these huge cheeks and a tiny head. I thought it was adorable. They did make an official plush toy, but the plush toy was way too, like, hairy.
Oh.
Like, you tell it's supposed to be, like,
It's a little floppy thing.
It looks like a little caterpillar.
Yeah, it's definitely got hair.
It
looks
like if you take a washcloth and then put a little head on top of it.
Aww. But, yeah, I thought it was
Chris
adorable.
is going to do that with his washcloths when he gets home.
But the CG
Yeah, it
wasn't
had a little
good, but I thought it
mushroom
was
tip
cute.
face.
Kind of, yeah.
A little what face?
Mushroom tip face.
Oh, yeah.
But I love the Rill. It's called the Rill. I found that out.
Rill.
Again, the official plush toy was way too hairy. Like, it should have had short hair, but they gave it long hair.
That's because the CG couldn't do long hair.
But it looked better with short hair. It was cuter.
Yeah, I expected the whole scene where, oh no, boy thing left it in the cave. I expected that to be like a much, much bigger thing.
Like a teddy bear moment.
Well, that's
no,
another
I expected
thing.
it to actually like get someone in like bigger trouble because
Yeah,
it was,
me
oh
too.
no, there was a cave-in and we saved Anisha in literally 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought for sure that he was
that's
going to
another
be
problem.
like kidnapped or something.
Or
that
like
kid.
added it to Data's storyline, which is Data's whole storyline after he gets his fucking memories back and realizes where he's been all this time. Fucking someone on Baku. It's like, oh, does Data learn how to have fun?
That's the thing. It feels like they cut a lot out of his story. Because
I
it's
think
like
they changed a lot of
there's
a lot
one
of stuff.
scene with the kid being afraid of him,
Mhm.
one scene of the kid starting to warm up to him, and then at the end it's like playing in hay.
We're
well, there
best
was
friends.
in the caves. It was like Data's like, go, go, and he's like, no, I want to stay with
That
you.
too, but it feels like that was a very not even half,
It was a very
quarter baked
It was
plot.
the gradual progression, which I get it, but it's like it's
just
weird.
It's interwoven so randomly. It doesn't feel natural. It feels very forced.
It's so more than Bev got to do.
Oh, she got to talk about her breasts though, because that's what women get to do.
My
one of the-
titties are so
One
hard!
of the only scenes they let the women have, and it's about their boobs.
Hey,
like,
but
really?
it passes the Bechdel test. At least they're not talking about men.
That's true.
Oh,
Question
God!
mark.
Oh,
My cunny is so tight now!
all
No!
humor or attempted humor in this film.
Honey.
The attempted humor in this film. There's like
That's the
again.
grossest word for it.
You're
isn't it?
the worst.
Isn't that the worst?
Do you call them cummies too?
Ah! That's
Anyway,
the grossest word for that.
It
any
is.
fucking way. Done with this. Ugh. But like all the attempted humor in this movie is awful. Because again, it's the like, they're talking about their breasts, and then Data's all like, hey, Worf, even though I know what boobs are.
You know what joke I did like? Because a lot of the jokes were stupid and flat, like, Worf having a zit and all this stuff.
And they just kept getting back to it.
I actually really, really liked Riker shaves the beard and says, oh, yes, smoother than an android's bottom, and then Data touches it, and they cut the lines. There was supposed to be a line of him saying, no, it's not, or something. But just the look that Data gives him is like,
The look is really good. It's like, not even close.
It's so good Brent Spiner acting.
It was good acting, but I still hated the gag.
The gag is, we didn't need Riker to shave the beard. He doesn't look great without the beard anymore.
No,
he
he never did. I didn't think it was a good look to begin with.
When he was young and
No,
his face
when he was
tighter.
taut.
Yeah.
Not fucking...
Poor Jonathan Frakes.
I know.
I feel like we shit on this poor man's physical appearance so often.
Listen, he
I
can
just love
fucking
a
get
beard.
it. I think he's hot, but even now, I'd still hit it. I'm sure Jonathan Frakes will feel much better knowing that.
I'll make sure to add
What if
his
the-
Twitter
what-
with this episode.
Yeah.
What if, because there's certain things about aging that are not a result of the body aging, but just like living in gravity for a long time. Like balls getting longer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Do you
We're
think-
back
do you-
to general-
Long
Saggy-
balls! You got long balls,
No,
Larry.
we're back on saggy tits. We're back on Bev's one element in the story.
But so like I'm just imagining that like the 400-year-old guy just has to wind up his nutsack.
Why?
Oh god, you don't want to staple
Why?
that back. You do that wrong, it's really painful.
How did we get from beards to this?
I don't
Boobs.
know.
And bad humor, and
Jake.
Jake
Oh,
and I
God.
are always thinking about balls.
That reminds me.
always.
Does their
Except-
hair grow?
On the balls?
I think they start to imply. I think they imply that Picard's is starting to come back at one point. I love that Geordi grows eyes in like a day. Picard can't get his hair back though.
To be fair, I mean, Picard has been alive longer than Geordi, and has probably been bald longer than Geordi
Oh
has
God,
been
when he
alive.
decides to mambo. Gee. That's the other problem. Is like we're like, oh good, Picard's making the right decision this time. But it's like, he's maybe only doing it because he's hormonal again?
Well, yeah, that's the
yeah, we didn't need that
There's
at all.
so many caveats.
Well, and that's exactly right. You know what would have made this movie a lot better is if
William Shatner showed up.
It was a Fountain of Youth thing, but they weren't all going through puberty again?
Well, I mean, that would have been okay, too. I would have been okay with that.
But then how would they have
But
I
would have made the Baku a pre-warp civilization. I would have made this a Prime Directive movie. Because... And I would not have had necessarily the Sona related to the Baku.
It could have just been another evil admiral.
It could have been the fucking, it could have been an evil admiral. It could have been the Cardassians. It could have been, it would have been nice if it was an established villain. Yeah. That we could be like, okay, yeah, I understand why these guys are...
I understood the Sona really well.
Yeah,
like,
but
they want to be healthy again.
But why do we need a fucking... Yeah.
They'll do anything to have their faces back.
Well, it was probably at least partly because since these standalone movies need to make money beyond maybe just Star Trek fans, they were trying to give it something where you didn't need to know the history.
But they had the Duras sisters in Generation and also, Kirk.
I think if they had made them... I think if instead of the Sona, they had, say the Cardassians, because you could just as easily... If you don't have to know Cardassian backstory,
right, to know that this is bad.
Look at the way they dress. But they're the bad guys.
The Cardassians do
fabulously,
but
that's not even. I mean, that's beside the point. The point I'm making is not that the Sona should not be the Sona, but that the Baku should. If they were just a pre-warp civilization, and this was an evil admiral with or without the Sona.
If this were literally the Mintakans again.
If it was the Mintakans, but this time the Mintakans got something that Starfleet needs. Or wants
this badly enough to destroy.
Then like Picard has a much better moral foundation to stand on in terms.
Plus, he wants to fuck one of them.
Well, and then presumably also cut the fucking stupid love story.
Or even like...
And like, and maybe, but then again, instead of being just a copy of Journey's End, then it becomes a copy of Who Watches the Watchers.
But even if you maybe replace like the magic space radiation with just like, they got a metric fuck ton of dilithium.
I don't know, because I think it's important. I like that there's magic space radiation or a fountain of youth type thing because
it's nowhere else.
Because it's nowhere else, and it's the type of like if it's just resource exploitation, you can be like, yeah, okay, I can't get by, because it almost has to be something that you can almost be like, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it to fuck these people over to get this. Yeah, and like a fountain of youth is in that realm.
And it would totally be worth it to someone, except that, if it's in the hands of the Federation, then they have control over who gets it, and it's not going to actually be equally shared.
No, not at all.
Like, they're not going to give that shit to the Ferengi, or the fucking...
Packlets.
Or it's,
definitely not the Packlets.
It's like Christopher Lloyd's speech in Star Trek 3. Yeah, you'll get it, but you'll wind up, with the Federation flag fluttering in the breeze overhead.
What the Baku should have done is kept their little 600-person settlement and just made it into an actual spa planet.
Well, because here's the other thing, too,
They could make bank. They could have gold-plated platinum
Ferengi
whatever.
Is going to find out about this planet.
Oh, pick me. There was a cutscene. Armin Shimmerman and Max Grodenchik were supposed to be in this movie.
Oh my god.
Max Grodenchik was going to just be in the library as a...
Who is that? Is that Nom?
He's going to play Rom.
Rom, thank you. Sorry.
But yeah, he was just going to be in the library being a Trill as another thing. Yeah. But Armin Shimmerman would have been Quark trying to get a timeshare on this planet.
Oh my god, yes.
Totally doesn't fit.
Not at all.
I'm actually glad they cut it, because it doesn't make any sense in this movie.
Oh god.
Except that it would make sense for Quark to do this.
Yes.
It definitely makes sense.
Speaking of not making sense. Quark. So, Generations, Worf is still part of the crew. It's fine. First Contact, he was at the battle. They beamed off the Defiant. Sure. Nemesis, the reason he's there makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
It makes sense. We'll get there next week, though.
This one is literally, Mr. Wolf, what the hell are you doing here? Well, sir, camera pans away. Like, really?
Yep. They could not think of a way to
be
here.
Like, fucking... It would have been better if they didn't even mention it. That he, just have him just there... I would have assumed something happened off camera.
Okay, but here's what actually happened. He was like, I remembered that I left Alexander here 8 years ago.
Where is he? Where is he? Oh, we shipped him off ages ago.
Or if you remember, that ship crashed. You were on it when it crashed. Oh, right! he's just on Viridian 3.
Well, no, Father! he was picked up by one of the random crews sent to disassemble the saucer.
No, he's a Sona now. Bum bum bum.
That's good. Write that script, Caitlin.
Yeah, really.
That would have been a better villain. Alexander, out for revenge.
No, it wouldn't have. It would have been Alexander.
That would have been hysterical.
I mean, yeah.
Father, you forgot me! His father just flicks him in the forehead and he collapses.
Yeah.
End of movie.
End of movie.
Good.
But they still don't explain why Worf is there. God damn it.
Yeah, okay. So we got some more, we got some Enterprise E action in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
When Riker's doing a thing?
Riker takes command of the ship.
To go get through the briar patch and tell the Federation a thing.
To call home, to call up and say,
it's
hey, there's some bad shit going down.
E.T. phone.
This Doherty guy is kind of a douche.
I wish that he talked like that.
So we learn a couple things about the Enterprise E, one of which is it has ram scoops. I've never heard the Bassard collectors referred to as ram scoops.
I think they're part of the Bassard collector, aren't they?
I
Is that
guess.
just what Riker calls it because he doesn't remember the name?
I also just wonder, because I thought that those were for a specific thing. Like, they had a specific task, but now it looks like they just general suck up, space vacuum so that you can blow it out your ass at some other ship.
Accurate.
Okay, so we learned that. And now we also learned that the Enterprise E has the manual steering column.
You've been building this up for years now that I expected it to be like this really, really big thing, and it was just a thing that popped up.
Well, what's funny, the thing that's funny about it is it's like a flight stick from like a jet fighter.
It's like fucking
a video game.
Yeah, I was gonna say some piece of shit that you would have had on your computer in the early 90s.
Like it legit looks. I think I had the exact joystick that they used for that prop.
Here's what I was expecting, since you've been playing it up for several years now. I was expecting it to be more phallic.
I mean, it's not
He
phallic
does have
enough.
to wrap his massive man hands around it.
He does that with most things.
Yeah,
Troy, for instance, in
yank
this
it
movie.
back and forth. I don't know. I don't think it was necessary. It was one of those things where I'm sure the filmmakers are like, oh yeah, he's going to call for manual steering column and it's going to be badass. He's going to take control of that thing. He's going to fly the ship right down their throats. And then it turns out it's just this lame-ass video game controller that pops up. I don't know. I've always found the manual steering column to be lame.
So dumb.
But also, why call it a steering column? It just doesn't...
Joystick.
To use it to steer the ship?
I know,
Riker's joystick.
but when I think of a steering column, I think of not that.
Also, when they talk about, any other time they're in any kind of space battle, 9 times out of 10, someone's going to shout, evasive maneuvers! Evasive maneuver! Evasive maneuver!
That's that guy's one job, Jake.
Picard Delta 4, engage Kirk maneuver 6. And, you would assume that there's somebody that's got a flat panel of glass and he's typing in the commands to make the ship do the thing. Whereas the manual steering column is just just whirl it around a bit.
Yeah,
shake it up.
That should always be what they whip out during a battle, if that's how it works.
Yeah, but that's as well established. That is not, even when they're doing.
Chris, they can't afford to have awesome equipment like that in every episode.
Do you remember when Picard had to pilot out of the asteroid field in, was it Samaritan Snare? No, I don't remember. Might have been that. I don't know.
Something like that.
There's the episode where they're stuck in the asteroid field and it's a booby trap. It's an ancient booby trap and it's leeching the power off the ship. So they do a quick blast from the engines and then Picard has to pilot the ship out using very precise maneuvers. And even in that episode, he's very carefully dialing in the commands into the controller, into the panel. There's no manual steering column.
Nope.
It's not fucking Star Wars. And I just find the manual steering column a little distasteful cheesy looking.
I think I actually said use the Force, Luke, when that thing came out.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, because
Top Gun shit,
Yes, but we
feel
also
the need for speed.
Here it is.
What?
The manual steering column was the Gravis Black Hawk PC joystick.
Yep,
Neat.
that feels right.
Mm.
The other flying scene that we see is the shuttle taking down Data's little shuttle thing. And I look at that and I say, if Riker is such a great pilot, he should be the one piloting this ship. And maybe Picard can still be there to sing a song at Data, which was kind of cute, because Data's very cute. And then not have Worf in that scene at all. Like, I was just thinking, like, why is Riker then not being the pilot here?
Because
it's a movie and Picard has to do everything.
Yeah.
Movie.
Picard does so many things, and the rest of the cast does so few things.
Yeah.
Especially the women.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Also, that scene is a good example of something that just went on.
It was long.
Way too long.
Yeah.
It did not need to be that long. That could have been so much shorter.
This is the shortest of the Star Trek movies.
It feels like it takes forever.
Well, it's because they do. They have all these like super long shots, like the 6-hour montage of them moving the people across the hills and valleys, and like
those llamas only move so fast.
The 10-minute like look at our peaceful village bullshit at the beginning. Like
I would rather. Oh God, that opening. Every other Star Trek movie, they open with just music over a star field, and you think, well, why not actually have some establishing shots happening now, like a lot of other movies do? Oh, this is why. They don't know how. I would rather watch the fucking motion picture Enterprise interminable flyby scene again.
No, you wouldn't. You would cut your arms off.
The music is nicer, and I don't have to watch children playing bad CG hacky sack.
Oh yeah, that's true. The hacky sack was pretty lame.
It was so bad.
But hacky sack was so
CG.
dope in the 90s.
Oh, that's the other thing. It was just way too dated, like the haircuts. Also, curly-haired dude, like...
He looked like David Hasselhoff.
I was gonna say, like, I remembered him looking more like the guy who eats pieces of shit for breakfast. I was disappointed that he doesn't look like him that much at all.
I thought he looked like Castillo.
That's who, the guy that eats pieces of shit for breakfast,
I don't
yes.
get that reference, so.
It's from Happy Gilmore.
Yeah,
I still haven't seen that movie.
He famously said, he's the, like, bad guy, and he says to
But I
Happy...
also haven't seen the other one.
He says to him,
What's the other one? Happy Gilmore and Madison? I haven't
Billy
seen
Madison.
Billy Madison.
They're
either.
not related. I mean, other than they have Adam Sandler.
They're the same movie.
That's
well,
right.
yeah, they are the same movie.
That's what I mean. I have seen neither, but I understand they're the same
They're
movie.
not like in the same universe.
But yes, they're shit-talking each other, and Castillo goes, I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast, and Adam Sandler goes, you eat pieces of shit for breakfast? And all Castillo can come back with is, no!
I actually quoted that earlier this week, so...
But yes, I always thought he looked vaguely like Castillo as well. So I'm glad it's not just me.
I mean, it's that generic male curly hair look from like the 80s into the 90s. It was like you had Castillo, you have Shatner had it.
Uncle Jesse from Full House.
No, his hair was more wavy.
Yeah, no, I know. Frankly, it was more a mullet.
Steve
Gutenberg had it.
Steve Gutenberg.
Yeah.
Who's Steve Gutenberg? Is that Alan Partridge?
Police Academy.
Yeah, Police Academy, Short Circuit, High Spirits, which we mentioned once before.
I haven't seen any of these films.
Wow.
But no, he's American.
Okay. What's his name? The guy I was just thinking of.
Steve Coogan.
Thank you. At least he's still a Steve. Anyway, moving on. Sorry.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, Ames, maybe you'll know. Did they not finish the special effects for the Collector fight scene?
Oh, with the blue screen?
Yeah, like, it looks like it's blue screen. That should be chroma keyed out, right? It's not just, like...
I was thinking that too, but then I realized that it would have been green screen at that time.
True.
So it would.
Yeah.
I think it was just a poor choice.
It was a very poor choice.
It was green screen. They put some blue screen over it to make it look less like green screen.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like replace the green screen with something that's the color of blue screen.
I don't know what moment.
So when they're in the Collector and they're having their big fight at the end,
sure,
and all around them,
then Patrick Stewart knocks Abraham over a wall.
Yeah,
sure. That whole set has blue walls.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Which would look...
They look like blue screen walls that were supposed to get replaced with something. And
yeah, I thought that too, but the more I thought about it, I was like, that seems
It's just, like
unlikely.
you said, a really poor choice of color.
I think so.
And it's just like... Because you just sit there, you're like, this just looks incomplete. This looks like they forgot to finish the special
I think it also would have been cooler if, like, you know...
They were just windows?
It was just windows, and you could see the planet outside and shit.
Yeah, I do know that this is the first of the Trek movies not to use physical models, because CGI was the thing now. And they also didn't use ILM this movie, because ILM was busy doing the Star Trek prequels now, because we're at that point.
Oh yeah, episode 1 was going to be out in a year.
Horrifying existence.
You know, I wonder if the Collector was meant to look unfinished, actually look unfinished, because like they hadn't quite made it to the final phase of the plan yet.
Well, the final phase of the plan was to use the Collector.
Well, right, but that's what I mean.
But
like, maybe they were going to add some artistic flourish.
It didn't look unfinished in an in-universe sense. It looked unfinished
Just
in a
for
real-world
us.
Yeah,
sense.
like
Oh, okay, I
effects
got
were
you.
Like,
not
it looks
complete.
like they didn't finish the effects.
Yeah, I agree. I just didn't know if it could
I mean, they had
translate
time
the
to
other
do
way.
Worf's funky bazooka, so...
It is it.
Oh, but the bazooka was purple. The rocket that came out of it was purple.
No, I didn't
That
notice.
was interesting.
I was too busy
The only
going...
purple weapon, I think, in Star Trek.
At least that the Federation has, yeah.
Maybe it was dipped in Klingon blood.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I liked Worf with the bazooka. It was a
I just
very
thought- I
Worf
just
thing
thought-
to do.
The other thing... Okay, here's the thing, right? Okay. Another thing we learned about the Enterprise E is there's a captain's yacht, which is like a
The
big...
Cousteau, which is nice.
Yes, which is like a big shuttle that only the captain can use, apparently. Because, I mean, there's like plenty of times when having a big-ass shuttle like that would probably come in handy, but whatever.
Well, the D had one. They just never used it.
Yeah, well, they probably could.
It was on the blueprints. And the
Oh, really?
and Voyager has the Arrow shuttle that never gets used.
But anyway, so we find out that, but Picard is... Okay, here's the thing about this that really irritated me.
Tell us the thing.
So, Picard is gonna... He violates orders. He does the classic take the badge off bullshit. He gets into civilian-ish clothes because, you know, it's not like, does he really need to blend in with the fucking people? They already know he's Starfleet.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't want to wear the uniform
he
if
didn't
he's
wanna
going
wear
to
the
violate
uniform.
orders. So
And
then
honestly, they had better civilian clothes this movie. So
he goes down to the captain's yacht and he beams down a metric fuck ton of ordnance.
Yep.
A fucking entire case of rifles,
Yep.
a bazooka apparently.
Somewhere, yeah.
Some fucking transport inhibitor. Like, he brings the fucking most... He brings every weapon on the ship, basically. Except for
Riker's fists.
Except, well, and then, okay,
Couple
so it's like,
batlets.
okay, so, but he was planning to go down alone, and he knows that the people on the planet are pacifists that won't pick up a weapon. So what was he just going to, like, triple wield rifles? Like, what the fuck?
Maybe he was going to give kit to the kids.
Maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what annoys me about that sequence?
Well, hold on.
Or maybe you're getting to what it...
So let me...
I bet you are, because I just thought of it too.
So then he's got all these weapons, and then the door opens, and the crew walks in and is like, Captain, everybody's in civilian clothes except for Riker and Geordi.
They didn't get the memo.
And then, right? So everyone's already dressed up. And then they have this little scene where, like, we're not going to let you do this on your own. And then Picard...
Saddle up!
And then Picard orders Riker and Geordi to stay behind.
Yep.
How did they know when they were getting dressed, when they're like, I think the captain's planning a thing. All right, we should all get in civilian clothes and take our badges off so that we can go help the captain. And then they're like, well, wait. He's probably going to want a couple of us to stay on the ship. It's going to be Riker and Geordi because they're the lamest. So,
But they
Troy.
either all should have been in civilian clothes or all been in uniform.
Okay, wait.
and the fact that they knew who he was going to order to stay on the ship.
No. That was the deciding factor. He was like, I was going to ask...
We don't have time for you guys to change.
Yeah, I was going to ask Geordi and Riker to come too, but you guys are still in uniform, so why don't you just hang back and take care of shit here?
And the thing, they wouldn't have... they knew he was stealing shit, but they had no idea he was going to be in civilian clothing. It just doesn't make sense.
Because... It's one of those things, it was lazy shit, and the
Guys,
filmmakers were like, no one will notice.
Were on active duty, and the others were off for the night.
Well, we know that when they're not on duty, they wear fucking 80s loungewear, so...
Well, now it's 90s, so it's 90s loungewear. You understand, Jake?
Suits.
There's a fine line between 90s loungewear and...
Being fair, they were wearing
whatever the fuck they were wearing.
They were wearing 2260s loungewear. It's the 2270s. No, sorry, 2360s. Now it's the 2370s. So fashion has changed.
Dude, can you imagine how great it would be to replicate any fucking clothes you want?
I sure wouldn't dress as lame as those assholes.
You know what? I figured out why there's not so many people on the planet. They have an incredibly high suicide rate.
Oh,
I was going to say they're cannibals, but all right.
Well, no, I'm thinking because
how green is
fucking
people?
Boring must it be on that planet?
We discovered lots of neat shit like television and video games and warp drive, but we decided not to do that and just play fucking spinning hoops and hide and go haystacks and shit.
And not even swim. That's the thing that gets me.
I haven't got to it yet.
I bet some of them do.
Swim?
No, I forgot the worst thing about this movie. The worst thing about this movie is this. They drain the lake.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this thing.
Revealing the hollow ship.
Yep.
They take the fucking pontoon paddle
I know what you're
gondola.
Anish doesn't even help row.
Because she sucks. Anyway, they get there.
Like all
They
Baku.
figure out, they find the door, they open the door, and the door is at the water height.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then they go into the ship. They say, "Oh shit, it's your village. That's crazy." Then there's a random Sona starts shooting at them. So then they turn around and go back out that door.
No, they throw Anisha out.
Well, they throw her out the door, and she can't swim. Now the door is 20 feet above the water line.
Were they still draining the lake?
No,
they
because
stopped?
they get to... Then they finally get back to shore, and the shoreline is at the same height.
Well, but
There's a dock.
That's because it was an actual physical lake.
Well, what I'm saying is, that's right. Well, that's fine.
Yeah, no, that was a huge fuck up.
Like
I didn't even notice
the
that.
fact
that
that
is
the
bad.
fucking door was 20 feet off the water makes zero sense considering they literally just stepped in from the boat.
Yep.
They didn't have to climb up a ladder.
Nope.
They just fucking walked in.
Do you know what I didn't like about that scene?
Everything?
Yeah, but how easily they got from raft to ship. Because in reality they'd be like, whoa! And like, all right, you're next. I'm going to hand you up. I'm just saying, it was
and
really stupid. It was too easy.
Really bad.
No one's ever gotten on or off a raft that fucking easily. That's all I'm saying.
Really bad joke. Data's flotation device.
Oh, that was terrible.
Bad joke.
Apparently,
Okay, but does he fit in easily in overhead storage compartments?
Yes.
Apparently, I remember reading this years ago, so about 21 years ago. Brent Spiner saying that something about the temperature of the water made it very difficult to get his makeup off that day.
Made his balls.
Oh, no.
Like it took longer than usual to get the makeup off.
Well, they also had to use waterproof makeup, right?
Oh,
maybe that's
I think
what
they
it
put
is.
on extra makeup because
Okay.
of all the interaction with the water that they had to do. Because that's otherwise it just washes off, and that fish goes by and it's like, who the fuck is this guy?
Oh yeah, he had to walk under the water.
Speaking of Brent Spiner,
That was I liked that, honestly.
Yeah, speaking of Brent Spiner, he requested in this movie that they kill off Data. And there was originally even a scene where Picard, when the Data running amok scene was much later in the movie, they had Picard actually kill him off, I think, and then resuscitate him later to help with the ending or some shit. But Spiner said he wanted to get Data killed off because he's aging like a human being, and realized if I keep aging, I have to stop playing Data at some point.
But that's not true, because they even said in
The one with his mother.
With Juliana Tainer,
yeah.
they even said that she ages like Data.
Then why
it's already been lampshaded that Data ages.
Then why in All Good Things has he not aged?
Lazy makeup.
Yeah.
He did. He has that streak of white.
That's true.
No, he put that in himself.
I know. I was joking.
But they do.
Maybe he puts those wrinkles in himself.
I feel like they specifically added that line in that episode because they're like, oh yeah, Brent Spiner doesn't look as young as he used to. And
then why does he still look the same as Lore when Lore has been deactivated for however many years whilst Data has been aging?
Maybe you don't. Oh, yeah, good point. I don't know.
Lore was made to look older.
There we go. Lore is older.
Lore is rotting from the inside out because he's
been
bad.
Puttering around for a little while before they deactivated him.
Puttering around for maybe a year, right?
It was a rough year.
He did a lot of drugs.
So much meth.
Lots of android meth.
But yeah, no, this would have been the only thing worse than killing off Data in this movie would be killing him off in another pointless, stupid Star Trek movie. So I'm glad they don't do that.
Hey, you know what would be great, actually, though, is if he'd have, a great heroic sacrifice and then be brought back the next movie, making it null and void.
Or brought back the same movie in the final scene, making it null and void.
That sounds great.
Is that an Into Darkness joke?
That could be. Yeah.
I assumed it was a Nemesis joke, but...
God, Into Darkness is so bad.
It is bad.
It is pretty bad.
I do enjoy the opening.
What's the opening again?
The planet with the
opening.
red.
I could not watch the opening.
Oh, it's dumb, but
we'll
fun.
talk about this in many, many years when we talk about fucking Kelvin.
That's actually another movie I've not seen since I saw it in theaters.
No, we saw it in theaters in 3D.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a horrible, horrible mistake. Because Jake's parents wanted to see it in 3D.
Didn't
I think
you
they wanted
put
to
your
see
hair
it. I think they
over
wanted
it?
to see
Or,
it.
Yeah,
or is
I
that
could
when...
not... And that's the red scene just immediately, overwhelmed my senses.
No,
For the rest of the movie, I had to watch it, one-eyed, so that it wouldn't be seeing the 3D effect.
Well, blame James Cameron for that shit.
Yeah.
Because he did
that
Avatar,
asshole.
and then everyone's like, oh, every movie has to be 3D. for 5 years.
Are they still doing that? Is 3D still a
It's
thing
mostly
right now?
died, thank God.
I
It's
fucking
terrible.
hate that shit.
But I also think, not that it would have been better, but I also think the Trek movies were all post-converted 3D, which means it wasn't actually filmed with a 3D camera.
Yeah,
they
do it in
basically took a
post.
3D image,
Oh,
cut bits out,
gross.
and so that's even worse.
Yeah, it was and specifically the running through the red trees.
Yeah, I could see that
It
being...
just caused instant headache, and I just couldn't for the rest of that movie.
When you said blame James Cameron, I was like, did he direct Into Darkness? What the
Oh,
fuck?
God.
directed.
No, the one good thing
No,
I
he
think to
directed
come out of the
Avatar,
3D craze of the early 10s.
some decent 3D video games.
So like,
what's the one you played that was good?
well, so some video games released not just 3D. They were more like 3D compatible. So if you had a 3D TV, which for a while a lot of TVs were 3D, and I had one, I still do somewhere.
Is this one not one?
My dad
No, that
has
one's
one.
that one's not 3D. The one upstairs is.
Good.
But it was Uncharted 3. Had a 3D mode that you could turn on.
And it actually did look good.
It looked really good. Now, of course,
because it was meant to be 3D from the get-go, right?
Yes, and it has the resolution, which on that and so, I think depends on the technology, but on that one it has the resolution, so it doesn't look quite as sharp, but it worked because video games can be done 3D. It's that's fun. That's how it's a thing that you can do.
Star Trek.
I have a couple other things that got cut or changed in the movie that I thought were interesting. The first being and actually it goes back to what Jake was saying 8,000 minutes ago in this recording. Originally, the Romulans were going to be the main baddies. Dumb.
Romulans.
Not the Romulans. Cardassians would be better.
Cardassians are the best villains in Star Trek. And stop.
Oh yeah.
And the Romulans are stupid, and I don't want to ever have to watch a Star Trek movie with the Romulans as a villain.
Oops.
Good. Good idea, Jake. The HMS Pinafore joke with Picard and Data singing was originally going to be them reciting lines from King Lear. So honestly, the HMS Pinafore thing is better. Yeah. And I liked it. I kind of liked it just because I think Brent Spiner has a lovely singing voice, and he was very adorable.
It was fun.
He
was fun to watch.
Idea again, just
No, they did
too long.
They did 10 verses.
Way too long.
It was too much.
Yep.
Yeah. And our original ending had Ruafu escape and get take a little shuttle or get thrown into the metaphasic rings, and he would basically start aging backwards until he just imploded or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been cool, but the effect wouldn't have worked.
I think that's why they didn't do it. I feel like I read that years ago myself, and it was this tech wasn't there. But yeah, that's why there's someone even credited as young Ruafo in the credits still.
Yeah, I caught that. I was like, when did we see a young Ruafo? Chris is like, we don't.
Oh,
And I
that's
was
interesting.
Like, we were wondering if it was from a flashback or something, but that explains it.
Yeah, Rufio kind of went off the deep end after he left Neverland. Huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, no, just thinking
Hands
about,
up, who else thought Rufio was hot when they were a kid? Sorry,
I don't
go
think
ahead,
I saw
Ames.
the movie as a kid.
Oh, so good.
No, I was looking at the ending, and I know everyone's like, oh man, they turned Picard too much into an action hero in these movies. Even though most of this movie, it's him having an ethical debate, but okay, fine, whatever, humans. Would it have been more impactful if it was Gallatin that went and sacrificed himself on the Collector to save the thing?
No, because we don't care about that character.
Yeah, not
I
at
started
all.
caring about that.
It would have been
character.
cool if Data went over there
And sacrificed himself?
and got blowed up. But then again, no, I don't ever want to see a Star Trek movie where Data beams over in place of Picard and blows himself up while saving the day.
They should have beamed over Barclay to have a heroic sacrifice.
Aww.
Wait, what am I doing? It'll be fine, Reg. You're one of our best diagnostic engineers. Wait, what's going on? Whee!
But
But Picard's not familiar with this fucking ship. It's
Well,
always,
you'd think he fucking was.
Well, as you said that, Kate, when we were watching
let
it.
us know what things to look for. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
What did I say?
that he knew his way around the technology immediately, and it was some.
That's
weird
that's
tech.
But they figured it out.
I know, but
It was-
that's
this
not a
one-
problem.
That's
This
not
was-
a problem.
It's not a problem because Star Trek is well established that if you can
understand-
operate any technology,
Then
you can operate
all
every
technology.
technology.
Yeah, but this was like Jurassic Park frozen embryo
Yeah,
tube
this was
shit. It didn't make any
particularly
sense.
Byzantine. I mean, even if they just had it, because it was a joint Starfleet operation, it could have even just had
it could have had Starfleet
something that
tech.
was maybe some weird hybrid of
Well, it sounds
Elcars.
it sounds
Maybe a joystick
it
of some
like
kind.
Starfleet was because you got to figure. Well, actually, that's interesting.
What?
So we only see like 5 Starfleet people. We see Doherty, and then we see a handful of people in the duck blind. Everybody else is Sona or one of their slave races. Yeah. Which I'd like to note. I was wondering if one of the slave races kind of looked like Picard's buddy from Gambit, the captain of that pirate ship. Oh. I wonder if they're supposed to be the same.
Interesting. I don't think so.
But anyway,
I know we heard the names of them at some point. Yeah. I didn't write down what they were.
Anyway, so it seems like I don't think it was really a joint operation so much as the Sona were like, that planet's in your space, so we'd like to exploit it for resources, and you can come along. Like, I don't think they really needed the Federation. They seemed to have everything under control themselves, and the Federation kind of just fucked it up for them.
Yeah. Well, then what were they hoping to gain from the Federation?
Well, they needed access to the planet, and the Federation wasn't going to let them do that.
Oh, fair enough.
Though, considering where in space it was, they totally could have just snuck in.
Yeah, that's the thing.
No one's going to check.
No.
Yeah, no one's going to go... Briar Patch.
They didn't even know they were fucking
Brer
there.
Rabbit will.
Was there a Brer Rabbit joke in this movie?
Yes, there was.
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say, that sounds familiar.
This movie, I'd like to point out, is also a very similar plot to Star Trek Beyond, but that's beside the point.
Montgomery Scotty.
Beyond's way better, though.
Yeah, but they're also in the Briar Patch in that movie. Or basically the Briar Patch. Anyway.
It's a very common trope for how do we make it so that other Federation ships can't communicate with them?
There was a point I was trying to make when I started saying it.
Stroking your beard thusly.
I don't remember. Oh, yeah, the action hero stuff. Yeah, you're right. I mean, there is a lot of moral quandary that he has to deal with. But at the same time, the way he solves his moral quandary is with action hero shit. You know,
that's because the fucking Sona don't listen to the big diplomatic speech.
Well, but then I would buy that.
Gallatin listened.
Gallatin did. I would buy that if he had beamed over to the collector and didn't say "Time's up." Hasta la vista, F. Murray Avery.
Avery?
Does it sound like baby?
A-B-I-R.
Anyway, if he didn't pull the fucking finisher line trope.
Movie audiences need it.
No, they don't.
I'll complain about this next week. Don't worry.
And then I really do think
I thought you were worried.
It is very suspect, and it is very action movie tropey for the hero to escape just in the nick of time, and for the villain to burn horribly in his own machine. If this were real Star Trek...
So you like the idea of him going into the rings and getting boiled alive instead?
No, I like the idea of him getting beamed off by Riker and sent to prison.
Oh, yeah, that's good too.
Because I feel like that's kind of how that would normally go. In Star Trek, it's usually the villain isn't killed pointlessly. Like, it's one thing, if he was, sticking his dick in the thing and it blew up. But Picard blew the thing up and didn't bother to save the guy.
I think maybe it just speaks
Riker
to...
didn't bother to save the guy.
Well, sure.
I think it speaks to the greater corruption throughout the Federation during this time, which I know I don't know about yet officially, but I've heard that shit kind of goes downhill ethics-wise during that time.
Well, yeah.
The Dominion War.
Sorry.
Issues.
So I was only half listening because I was trying to see if there was anything... The 2 alien slave races, I've already forgotten their names, were made up for this film. Who's sticking their dick in what?
Makeup looked great.
F. Murray Abram and anyone willing to let him, probably.
Yeah, the makeup was good.
Especially.
Yeah. Speaking of ethical debates, I love that when Data gets injured and he is only leaning on his ethical sub-program. His ethical sub-program is, let's shoot up everything the Federation owns.
It's a good program.
I liked it.
Because they're being douchebags right now and need their shit shot up.
These guys Data's are the ones that had to attack.
Why was Data on this mission?
He was curious.
Somebody had to have assigned him to this mission.
He was trying to learn about fun.
Yeah, there you go.
Doherty must have specifically been all right, we got to get Data for this. What was his contribution?
There must have been. Maybe he was looking and helping with a certain thing.
I feel
it's never explained or alluded to.
No.
Yeah, I can't remember if there was a line It was just so that he'd be there and the plot could kick off.
Because
Yeah,
originally it wasn't going to be Data. It was going to be a friend of Picard's named like Commander Duffy or something. And Duffy would be the one to want to expose all the things. And Picard would have to talk with him and learn of the ruse.
That would have made a lot more sense.
But then Data doesn't have a hot, sexy plot.
Yeah. Well, again, that just goes back to the movie rule for Star Trek The Next Generation movies where only Data and Picard get to be characters in the films. Sometimes we'll let Riker do something. Worf is a butt of jokes. The women talk about their titty balls. And that's about it.
Riker got the best stuff to do this movie. He
got to fondle the column.
Well, I was going to say he got to take a bath with Marina Sirtis, but that's also true.
Yeah.
That sounds more like she was the one fondling the column.
Yikes.
Yikes indeed.
Well done. And I know this was a pillar movie. Well, the previous ones were Moore and Braga, right?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like,
they asked Pillar to lighten the tone.
This is
First
definitely,
Contact was a darker,
but this is definitely more of a
episode.
I think, yeah, exactly. I think going back to what Chris said, this in addition to being clearly very derivative of several episodes,
they Moriarty them, and it's amazing.
Yes,
I loved that.
Yeah,
they stuffed them full of crumpets. Damn it!
Well, it was also. I mean, it's also the same thing that they pulled with those people with Worf's brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think I said that when we were watching it.
You know, it's the so many better episodes.
Like basically, they Doherty's like, how are we gonna do this dastardly plot? And he opened up Picard's mission files and was like, all right, we'll do this. Ooh, duck blind. Yeah, let's do that one. Like everything Picard did, we're gonna do.
Ooh, Dixon Hill. Wait, no.
Here's what I'll say about this, because I look at this and they talk about the youth thing and the people want to retain their youth, and we've done the youth thing with Khan a bit with the whole Kirk is feeling old on his birthday, and one of the big threads through Wrath of Khan was feeling old. And this movie, I think the feeling old thing wasn't done as well. I think the first thing, one of the first things Picard says is, remember when we used to be explorers. And there's a couple elements of exploration in this that I wish they'd played more into, because that's the interesting thing. Like naming the fucking captain's yacht the Cousteau. It's perfect if you want to talk about let's do more stuff that is new to us.
I also think
they try to time into the time bullshit, which doesn't work. But
so they had, that's one thing I didn't mention. Also, the intro scene, or not the intro scene, but the intro scene to the Enterprise crew was this diplomatic soiree where they were meeting the fish granny people.
Oh yeah, and they have the new formal uniforms.
Yeah, they have these whites that they wear.
Yeah.
They're better. They're not as ugly as the old formal uniforms.
Well, I liked them, except I felt like, aside from Picard's, which felt like one actual cohesive outfit,
it was
to me,
white on white.
Yeah, to me, the others just looked like their suit jackets didn't fit appropriately.
But anyway, so yeah, the idea there was like, oh look, we're basically relegated to doing these, fucking diplomatic bullshit
stuff.
Missions, which is also like, you did a shitload of.
I was gonna say, Picard used to love that
diplomatic bullshit already. Like, this isn't new. Remember that early episode where he had to learn to pronounce the fucking thing just the right way?
And then he played with his holodeck Dixon Hill program instead.
Yeah.
Manhunt.
Played with his Dixon Hill, alright.
Fucking man. Was that Manhunt?
I don't remember.
No, that was Big Goodbye?
I think Big Goodbye.
Well, that's the one with Dixon Hill.
It's one of the ones with Dixon Hill. I think Manhunt.
Anyway.
Yeah, this definitely wasn't as bad as I expected.
No,
but there were.
I don't think it's bad.
And I know the even numbered treks are supposed to be all the good ones, and the odd numbers are supposed to be all the garbage ones. And this one wasn't. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't garbage.
It wasn't. I mean,
It I definitely still hate it.
I hate it, but I don't think I was expecting utter trash.
No, I think the thing I've always said about this film is that it is a two-parter episode at best that has been filmed as a movie and released theatrically. That's really what we end up with. I think, if we had taken a script from another TNG two-parter and done it with a film budget, if they had
how about Time's Arrow?
Yeah.
Kill me dead.
Now, I don't want any Star Trek movie that involves Data's head lying in the dirt somewhere. Fuck that.
Jake is a monster.
Manhunt it also does involve Dixon Hill, But it's the one where Mama Troy is extra horny.
Yeah.
So that's the other. The one with the pronunciation is probably Big Goodbye or something. But yeah, Manhunt is he hides from Mama Troy on the holodeck. Right. And she doesn't know what a holodeck is.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's Big Goodbye then.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because the long goodbye is the
she starts trying to fuck that hologram guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mama Troy can get it.
I think my biggest complaint with this movie is just that the pacing was really bad because they had all these really long.
There was some mistakes with pacing.
I don't usually notice shit like that. That's how I know it's bad. Like if I'm sitting there like, holy fuck, how much longer is this scene gonna be?
It's a short movie that feels stretched out.
Way longer. Yeah.
Because there's a lot that's. Let's watch the llamas climb a mountain, and then suddenly it's let's do all the action in 30 seconds.
Oh no, more llamas would have been all right.
Anyway, cool. I'm gonna end this with the list of original title options.
Oh yeah,
because I didn't care for Insurrection as a title. I don't think it really conveyed what the movie was really
been like
really
Star
about.
Trek Mutiny.
Here's the list. The original title was Stardust.
Dumb.
There's a very long list. They couldn't decide a fucking title.
Isn't
for this movie.
Stardust a Neil Gaiman novel?
Might be.
Who cares?
Prime Directive.
Okay.
Not
The
applicable.
Resignation.
Not applicable.
This one makes me upset.
The Resignation sounds like a fucking John Grisham novel.
It does.
Sorry, I didn't mean
this one's really upsetting. The Enemy Within.
That's funny.
They have to stop naming movies after titles of existing episodes.
Nah, keep doing it. It's great. Everybody loves it.
Breach of Promise.
Dumb.
Dereliction of Duty.
What the fuck?
Apostasy. Which wouldn't work because no one knows what it means.
What does that word mean?
It basically means rebellion.
Jesus Christ.
What about pasta?
Pasta.
Yeah, it sounds delicious.
Where Time Stands Still. I'm better.
Better, but it references the dumbest thing in this movie.
For the world is hollow, and I can stop the clock.
Stop the clock.
Did you say
Forever?
Oh no.
Beyond Paradise. It's such a long list. Sacred Honor.
Timeless.
Timeless isn't bad. Revolution. It's not on this list. That's
and
why
Yonder.
Revolution.
Dumb.
Rebellion.
Dumb.
High Treason.
Dumb.
And Act of Treason.
Dumb.
Bad titles.
Bad beans.
I like Jake's idea the best.
Yeah.
How about
what does insurrection actually mean, please?
It's a rebellion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's also I feel like I consider it more a rebellion against your own government than against these assholes.
Well the idea was that Picard broke orders and beamed down to the planet.
It seems relatively minor considering
it does, but
considering like the rest of the movie is about, these people trying to live forever. But
I
would call it
Timeless. I liked Infinity.
Zippity doodah.
Fountain of Youth.
That would help with the Brer Rabbit.
That's the joke.
Star Trek.
It's good.
Star Trek. Get some coffee in you before this one.
But yeah.
Cool.
We sucked.
I think we're good. Oh, hang on. There was one line in the Picard ethical debate where he says to Gallatin, "I'm not pleading for my life. I'm pleading for yours." And I wrote down Picard level wizard.
That's
most
true.
Picardy thing that has happened.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Picardy
like even
realm.
compared to First Contact, Picard is more in character in this.
Oh, big time! Absolutely.
In this film,
here's the thing. Like the stakes in this movie aren't Earth gets fucking F.
Yeah, it's true.
We don't see Earth at all.
And that's another thing.
The stakes are only your own ethics.
The stakes are your ethics and the fate of 600 people, which is as Star Trek movies go, like that. Like as Star Trek episodes go, those are the stakes usually. Yeah. But for whatever reason, they've decided that the stakes in the films now have to be the
Earth, the
fate of everything, literally everything. And
Generations scaled it back. It was a world.
Yeah, well, the thing about
that we weren't introduced to.
Yeah, we weren't introduced to it. We never met the people. We didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, in First Contact, it was the fate of everything.
Yes.
In the next one, it's going to be the fate of everything. In all of the Abrams movies, it's the fate of everything. In Discovery, it's the fate of everything. No, I don't think
was Beyond and Into Darkness everything. I guess Into Darkness.
I don't remember.
Into Darkness,
but
well, it was also villainous. Admiral, and San Francisco gets fucked up bad.
Yeah, no, that's not everything.
The
that's
implication,
San Francisco. I mean, San Francisco's great, but...
The implication of Beyond was that the villain was going to start with the starbase and then spread from there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I guess I was kind of forgetting what that one was, but yeah, that's right.
But the point is, like, the stakes on Star Trek have been escalating to the point where, like that's my biggest criticism, I think, of Discovery, is that the stakes are always everything.
Well, that feels like how science fiction has become, like, after the Doctor Who revival. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to say that, like, I think a lot of people said they were disappointed with the most recent season, like, sensible people who weren't just mad that the Doctor was a woman, because they were like, they felt like everything was too, like...
Monster of the Week?
Too small, and it's like, well, yeah, that's because fucking Davies and... Moffat just spent a decade where everything was always about everything. And I was so relieved.
And it didn't used to be that way at all. Like, you had your... I mean, obviously the Earth was often the center of a lot of shit for whatever reason.
And there were a few storylines, like the Guardians their little spat could have ended the universe, but those were...
fewer and further between.
Yeah, like, I was relieved, personally, to have a season where the stakes were really drastically scaled back and everything was smaller and more intimate. It was nice. It was a refreshing break.
Yeah.
I obviously haven't seen it, but But
we're also in the midst of the Marvel era where, you know, fucking everything is...
Yeah, that's true.
Huge.
But the point being, though, that I did like that this was kind of a smaller, isolated story.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, though, it felt more like, almost like a traditional episode rather than, which was nice.
Sure.
Yeah, I just personally felt like the execution was really bad.
Yeah, there were many flaws. Their attempts to add humor mostly fell flat, except for that one joke.
Oh, something I noticed when rewatching set reuse, right? So we already know that, like, they reuse a lot of Voyager sets in First Contact.
Yeah.
The Sona, like, beauty parlor.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a weird thing to call that creepy triage unit.
We haven't even talked about Doherty's death.
Kind of a weird, obscure set reuse. There's an episode.
How do you recognize?
Because
these?
It's a very distinctive looking set.
I read all the reuse of sets in the Memory Alpha, and each time I'm like, don't fucking care. Don't give a shit.
This one it's very specific, right? So there's a arguably the best episode of Star Trek Voyager is Living Witness, and it takes place in almost entirely in a museum, alien museum.
It's just the one with the time cops. I like that one.
And this one has and the set from the museum is the set for the Sona beauty parlor. And I recognize
where Doherty dies via face stretching. Which, I looked away. It was awful.
It was an awful
gross.
Special effect, you mean?
Yeah, but it's like, you look at it, it's like, oh my god, because
they opened it in,
you
like,
just think, like, what it would
Photoshop
feel like,
stretch.
and it just, like, feels painful to have your skin splitting over your face.
The idea of it is definitely more horrifying than the execution.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
It's also not the first time Anthony Zerbe has been stretched to death.
Is or isn't?
Isn't.
What's the first
His
time?
actual real life death was by stretching.
He is in the hands down second worst, one of the worst Eon Productions James Bond movies, License to Kill. He's like a henchman, and he gets thrown into a decompression chamber.
Ooh.
And he's similarly like, I think they draw it out more, but he kind of like explode thing. So his like head kind of expands and then bursts.
That's how that would work.
That sounds
I don't think it is either. But
I did a lot of
Bond.
researching what would happen to you in lack of pressure, and that's not what happens.
What happens?
Why would you do that?
Doesn't your
Because
blood
I
boil
put
or
it in a
something?
play I wrote.
Oh, okay.
Well, what does happen?
I forget. It
You basically get the bends.
Well, you know,
No.
you're touting yourself as this expert on
Well,
implosion,
Doesn't
so I
your
really
blood
thought
boil from
that's
lack of
what I
pressure?
said. I thought it was blood
Oh,
boiling,
God.
but I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely blood boiling. Like, it happened to one guy where he was very, very, very briefly either exposed to space or just exposed to a zero pressure area. And he said the last thing he could feel before he passed out. Really, the answer is you pass out almost instantly.
Well, that's good.
The last thing he remembered was the saliva on his tongue boiling.
Oh,
yeah, because
fuck,
as pressure reduces the water, the boiling point of water.
I'll send you the
also
video. It's great.
Fuck, no,
Still not as bad as
thank
biting
you.
into a freshly microwaved Hot Pocket, huh? Cha-cha-cha-cha.
Nice.
Cha-cha-cha.
You can cut this joke.
No, it's not cha-cha. It's
Look, I had to suffer through every joke in Insurrection. Our listeners can suffer through that.
I mean, we all had to suffer through.
Definitely feeling aggressive tendencies, sir.
Oh.
Right,
Yeah, but our listeners
around to
didn't
the yellow,
necessarily watch the movie. Yeah, we should wrap this garbage up.
All right, well, that was Star Trek Insurrection.
Penis.
Dick. Lots of stuff going on in this film, and
we just talked about
and
it.
most of it not good.
Well, I don't know. I think we'll probably end up doing after next week's episode maybe a top 5 of the movies or something. Just so
close, but
we'll figure out where this falls in the grand scheme of Star Trek films.
Number one.
Yeah, so that's... But anyways, also coming up next week, we are going to be covering the 4th and final Star Trek The Next Generation film, Star Trek Nemesis, which is, shall we say, I guess could be accurately described as... A movie. Stepping on my jokes.
Oh, was that really what you were going to say?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Change your name to Caitlin.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, maybe I hear the blues are calling.
Man, you were so lucky that you didn't jump on that last week.
I almost did, dude. I was this close, and I was like, I don't want to do
so much
again.
work for that joke. Oh, man, I would have shit. I would have leapt across the table.
Well, at least we would have had audio
evidence
of murdering me. At least there would be justice. Chris is just like, no, man. There's not a jury that would convict you, but bloop, delete.
No, exactly. It would be like
she murdered your joke. It was self-defense.
Exactly. Anyway, so that's coming up next week. Star Trek Nemesis, Tom Hardy, fake nose, it's great. So we'll be talking about that next week. Until then, you can find and like us on Facebook and Twitter, Tumblr, SSHB Podcast, SSHBpodcast.com. Download our SoundCloud on SoundCloud Sound and on iTunes. Nope, it's not iTunes, it's Apple thing. And Google, and any other podcast material place.
Jake's finally gotten good at these, and he's almost done.
If you go to...
I like that this is him getting good,
If you go online and you find our podcast somewhere, and there's an opportunity to give it a rate and review, please do that. Or write us a little note, or draw us a little picture and post it to our face page.
Oh, yeah, especially that. That'd be awesome.
I would love that. Or write some poetry about us.
Or like animate our hilarious shenanigans.
Exactly.
The pizza rant needs an animation.
Oh my god, that would be wonderful. That was so funny.
That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, but that's where everything started to fall into place.
I see.
It's true. It was that pizza story that really set us on our way.
Yes, the pizza story was our measure of a man.
Yes. Really
we
was.
peaked early.
Chris hasn't even been recording any of these since then. It's all been a ruse.
Yes.
Very elaborate.
He just re-releases that monologue every week on Thursday morning. Okay, well, I think that's all we got. So my name has been Jake.
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
And this is always Caitlin.
Oh no,
honestly,
my collector.
That was Rufio.
Better than him.